What's going on, guys? This is Frank Hatzis, and you're in Rope Dart School. Welcome, dartists, to Rope Dart School, where we talk to other dartists who are making massive waves and a positive impact in the worldwide rope dart community. My goal with this show is for you to hear what these aspirational dartists are doing and how you too can become a living rope dart legend. All right, guys. I am so excited for our next guest. He is born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area and has been rope darting since 2019. Working at Flow Toys, he's probably the most dedicated flow artist I've ever seen with regard to what he does for the flow community, including hosting the weekly Wednesday Flow Jams at the Flow Space, teaching rope dart classes at the Flow Space, and he's also a flow show coach for a lot of budding performers who are just getting their feet wet into the performing world. He is always available to share his knowledge, whether at festivals, Dolores Park, or literally on a street corner. Guys, he is my personal favorite rope dartist in the entire world. The one, the only, Erol Efendioglu.
Woo!
Welcome to Rope Dart School.
Thank you, Frank. It is a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. We've been trying to set this up for a few weeks now, and I'm glad that we finally got it together.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Well, I want to get the ball rolling and ask you the first question I ask everybody, and that is, what got you into rope dart?
Well, it's funny you say that because it was actually you.
Ah,
It was you coming to Flow Toys to teach one of your, I'd say, mostly annual rope dart workshops. Um, you and Sarah were hosting a intensive for a weekend, and I had never done rope dart before. I was coming from a poi spinning background. You had generously offered to anybody who works for Flow Toys, if they wanted to take your workshop, they could take it for free. And having no reason not to, I was like, yeah, sure, like I'll try some rope dart. And I remember getting the hang of it, of doing your 101 through 106, I believe. It was a 2 day intensive. And at the end of the weekend, you approached me and you said, you look like you're going to be good at this one day. And you gave me a rope dart. And what you said to me has basically inspired my entire rope dart journey and how I look at the goal of spreading rope dart to everyone I can. And it was, you can have this rope dart. It was a silk dart before you started adding swivels. And you said, you can have this rope dart. The only condition is that you use it. And I was honored. Uh, that truly inspired me to pursue rope dart as an art form. And after getting the hang of it, I fell absolutely in love. Like I thought I loved poi spinning, and then I got into rope dart, and I realized what it actually means to really be passionate about a prop or an object for object manipulation. And I've never looked back. Once 2020 hits, I had a lot of free time, and I just dove really, really deep into my rope dart practice. And I'm still as passionate as I was, I'm still as passionate today as I was about it when I first got started. And it has only grown seeing how much the community has grown in the last 5 years. Yeah.
oh, heck yeah. And I know it's going to be very hard to describe this in words, but I want you to try anyway. What is it about the rope dart that you love? And I'm asking because you mentioned you spun poi, and and you're still a poi spinner, and you're a great poi spinner, and you're one of the few poi spinners on the planet that I enjoy watching. But but there, just hearing you talk, it seems like you love poi, but you really love rope dart. So if you could put it into words, and you don't have to compare the two, that's not what I'm saying. What is it about rope dart that you love?
Well, I mean, and I think you and I have connected over this in the past, but I grew up being really into comic books, superheroes, Ninja Turtles, like you have on your shelf back there.
Hmm.
And when I got into the flow arts originally, I was like, this is about as close as I could get to having a superpower. And rope dart just took that feeling to an entirely different level. Like the idea of expansion and contraction that is like very specific to how you manipulate a rope dart is incredibly cathartic. It is the best stress relieving activity that I've ever come across. Um, I could spin poi for an hour without raising my heart rate. I spin poi or spin rope dart for 10 minutes and I'm basically sweating. It is a full body, mind intensive activity that constantly builds on itself. And every time I pick up a rope dart, I feel like I'm fighting invisible ninjas. Like it is incredibly satisfying to feel powerful with a prop. And that's what rope dart does for me.
For sure. And I mean, I have to agree just on that powerful aspect. Just sticking with that word, there is something behind being able to project something so far away from you and just pull it back. Even at its most simplistic state of being, like a swing out and the retrieval, you're right. It gives you this feeling of like a superhero power that you didn't know existed until you picked up a rope dart.
And
Now,
then not to, yes,
no, please
exactly.
go ahead. Go ahead.
And then like that's a practice rope dart. And then when I did a fire rope dart for the first time, I was just like, I am a firebender.
Yeah,
Like this is firebending to me. Shooting fireballs, using your body, doing kicks, doing wraps, like it's like having a superpower. And
absolutely.
I cannot stress how good that feels to really just feel tapped into something that that resonates with me so deeply.
For sure. And sticking with fire for a second, what type of head do you like to use?
I use a five petal lotus head from Dark Monk. Yeah.
Yep, easily my favorite fire head is exactly the five pedal, because for whatever reason you get way more flame than a four pedal, but a six pedal isn't that much more than the five, and it weighs a little bit less. So I love that five pedal lotus head from Dark Monk. It definitely feels like you're moving with the power of the sun, like harnessing the power of the sun, and like you can
Yes.
literally you get like a tan with that thing. It's
Oh
pretty
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. It keeps me honest.
Oh, absolutely. And I
Yeah.
would say that when it comes to traditional heads and fire heads, they keep you honest.
Uh,
Now,
oh
go ahead,
yeah.
go ahead.
Oh yeah.
And where would you
I
like
feel
to?
you. I mean, for oh, I was going to
No,
say
go
the
ahead.
last thing about the Lotus pedal is the weight to fire size ratio is perfect. I have tried other heads that are more of a weave based, and they are very heavy, and they might have like a 7 to 10 minute burn time, but it is so far from the experience of spinning something like a Cobra or a Silk Dart. I found that the Lotus pedal heads, the weight of it, even when dipped, is perfect, and you get this massive fireball. So you get a lot of fire with about as minimal weight as you can get for such a big wick.
For sure. And I've heard that before too with regard to burn times, but I got to be honest, I would rather use something like a Dark Monk Lotus Head and maybe get a little short of a burn time because it just feels so much better than something that burns for say 10 minutes. And honestly, after 10 minutes, like nobody's watching anymore anyways. Like,
Oh
you know,
yeah.
they're on to the next person in the circle. So I,
Yep.
we're not endorsed, I'm not endorsed by them, but guys, if you want to get into fire rope dart, I mean, Dark Monk is the place to get your fire gear on. And even if you spin anything, I would say Dark Monk. Um, where right now, and this next question has two parts. Um, in the short term, where would you like to see the rope dart go?
That's a great question. I mean, I feel like it has grown so much in terms of exposure in media. I feel like I'm seeing it represented in movies more. I feel like I see way more people getting into it for the first time online. So just seeing it as much as I see something like poi or a hoop would be amazing. Uh, one of my one of my goals and something you and I share is spreading the passion that we have for rope dart with other people. Uh, I would love to see more people teaching rope dart. The Dart Arts Gathering is one of the places where I feel like dart is really getting pushed to the boundaries of what can be done. And what I would love to see is that gathering being a place to train more people to bring rope dart to their area. Um, I'm very lucky living in the Bay Area where there is a huge and very vibrant and constantly growing flow arts community. But working for a place like Flow Toys, where we see people place orders from all over the country, all over the world, and they're the only person in their area who does this art form. I want to see rope dart everywhere. I want to see
Or,
everyone who loves rope dart to have an extra rope dart in their backpack in case someone wants to know what they're doing.
mhm.
And I personally carry a rope dart with me everywhere I go. I know you do too, Frank. Um, and just being able to have more people who are enabled and confident and passionate about rope dart to share it with anybody who is remotely interested is how I think the art form is going to continue to grow. And I want to enable as much of that as possible.
For sure. And I mean, you are doing that. When I think of the dartists out there that are pushing the rope dart outside of themselves. So, we rope dart for us and we get a great sense of well-being and it just makes us happy. And that's wonderful. We need that. There's no reason to rope dart if it's not making you happy. And then there's some just golden nuggets out there like you that you take it from your heart and you push it out to everybody. And you're a very approachable, easy to talk to, hang out kind of guy. So it's like there's some folks out there, and I would say like Ben Kennedy, Instructor Ben, say Rudolph. There's just some folks that represent the rope dart perfectly, in my opinion, and you're one of them. So it's like it's so good that we got you on the dart side of things. Now, sticking with teaching, because we touched on some things, we'll probably spend some time here. You are a Rope Dart Academy instructor because you are a phenomenal instructor, and your knowledge bank is obvious to anybody who takes a lesson or a class with you, or even just geeks out with you. When it comes to Dart Arts, you will be teaching there this year. You want to share with our audience what you'll be bringing to Dart Arts?
So I have one class that I'm very excited to teach, and the second one is still being worked out in my head. So I can speak to the first one. And it is something that I want to see more of in the rope dart community. And there are people like Adam or Mish Moonflower, Flo Mayhem, people who really love making rope dart choreography and making rope dart choreography that groups of people of varying skill can join together to make basically a choreographed, almost flash mob type performance. And so that is the workshop I want to bring to Dart Arts this year is a choreographed sequence that will be taught to whoever decides to drop into the workshop. Obviously, there will be some prerequisites for this class. I want to make it as inclusive as possible. But my vision is to have 15 people doing a choreographed fire rope dart sequence in the fire circle and just thinking how awesome that could be uh, is something that I want to see more of. I want to see more interplay between people with rope dart, whether that's group choreography, whether that's Adam Bush doing partner choreography with Flow Mayhem. Their partner rope dart fire act that they posted recently is amazing. And when I saw it, I was like, the world needs more of this. Like, I love partner poi. I love pass juggling. I think every low art prop is more fun the more people you have doing it together. And rope dart is a place where I see that there is some space for the art form to expand into more partner or group experiences.
For sure. I'm beginning to see the rope dart very much like a fractal. And it's like the deeper you get into it, the wider it expands and the more it just keeps going. I've been around for 20 years now and I'm still not bored. I'm still learning things from I watch your videos. I'm like, oh, I mean, maybe when I grow up, I'll be like Erol, but I don't know. But like you did that one. I mean, you've done a few synchronistic, rope dart synchronistic uh, videos, if you will. And I saw the one that you did recently with Rudolph. Maybe it wasn't so recent, a little while back, but it was just, it's so perfect when you have two folks. It doesn't even have to be anything complicated or advanced. When you have two or more people with a rope dart and they're in sync, it looks cool no matter what. So now,
That's one of my favorites. That's one of my favorite activities to do with, I've done, I try to do them anytime a rope dart friend comes to the Bay Area and we have enough time. I'm like, let's make a choreography sequence. You bring three of your favorite moves, I'll bring three of my favorite moves, and let's find a way to put them together into something that works for both of us and represents both of our styles. And it's just like a really fun project to work on. And so having friends like that who are interested in doing that just makes me really happy. And it leads to really fun experiences. It leads to growth and a deeper connection over the art of rope darts. And having like a little 1 minute, 30-second clip, whatever, to show for that hour-long dive in is it's just like a really fun way to take that thing that is just like a little bit of a game between two people and hopefully use it to inspire other people to try something similar.
for sure. And you kind of mentioned it, but I wanted to ask when you look at, say, we'll just use the piece you did with Rudolph for that minute and a half. How long does it normally take for you guys to get that? You know, just assuming that everything's fine, you flip the camera on once and you just get it perfect. Is it 1 hour? Is it days? How long does it take to choreograph? Does that really come down to the skill level of what you do, of the person you're with, and what you're trying to do?
I think it does come down to, I would say, less of a skill, but more of a shared understanding of a certain set of moves. Because it could be done with two people who have just taken a one-on-one class. If all they can do are thigh turns, neck turns, elbow turns, and shoulder turns, you can make choreography with that. As long as both people have a shared understanding of what the move is,
Mhm.
uh, it's surprisingly easy to make choreography with very little. Um, for the video that Rudolph and I did, I think that was maybe our second or third time we've done a video like that. And so by the most recent time, we did the whole thing start to finish in an hour. Uh, Picked the moves we wanted to do, banged out the choreography. We did maybe 5 or 6 video runs until we found the right or things lined up the right way. And we were in and out of the studio in an hour. Yeah.
I mean, I believe you, but if you would have told me, just because anybody, if you haven't seen this video, you got to see it because it's just so great. If you would have told me that it took you days to get that, I would have believed it. Weeks to get that, I would have believed you. Said, hey, we actually practiced for about a month before we turned the camera on. I would have believed it just because it looks so crisp and clean. But I think that's just a testament to really, number one, you and Rudolph's skill level, and just the ability to work together and be in harmony with each other, even not physically, but mentally and spiritually.
Yeah, and Rudolph and I are people that I mean we met through the Dart Democracy virtual uh, gathering I think in 2020 maybe, and we connected over teaching rope dart. And Rudolph has become one of my closest friends. And every time we see each other, we make time to do rope dart together. We have a very similar outlook about sharing rope dart, about our approach to learning new moves, wanting to promote rope dart as much as we can. And just like the community aspect that rope dart has created, like we both love being a part of the rope dart community and seeing how it's grown. And we've both met so many amazing people through rope dart that, in my opinion, rope dart is the probably the best, the most wholesome community of flow arts props that exists. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree wholeheartedly on that. I think the community is just amazing. And again, I think that there's a certain, so spinning anything is difficult. Poi, dragon staff, it's all hard stuff. I'm not, it's not a comparison. But I do think there's something to rope dart that's maybe a little bit more physically challenging, that pulls in a certain type of person. And because it's so challenging, there's a camaraderie that's built because it's like, look, oh, you hit yourself in the head. Man, I hit myself in the head. Oh my God, my ankle. And all of a sudden you realize that, you know, so many others have had a very similar experience than you or I did. And there's just it's a breeding ground for new friendships and relationships and camaraderie.
Yeah, I mean, you and Sarah are a testament to that. You're like the rope dart mama and papa of this whole community. You have pretty much shared rope dart with all of the people I consider to be the people who are carrying the torch at this point, look to you as an inspiration. And you're constantly enabling people to have the tools to carry it further. And that's something that I've always really admired about you is that you will do whatever it takes to make sure rope dart gets spread farther. You'll give away darts, you'll give away information for free. Your approach to basically removing as many barriers to entry for people to learn rope dart is probably my biggest inspiration as an instructor.
Oh wow. Okay.
When I
That's
took your class, immediately the thing that hooked me was your enthusiasm for rope dart. I could tell that you just really loved doing this thing that you were showing us.
oh yeah.
And that is something I want to bring to every single experience and interaction that I have with rope dart as well. It means so much to me. It's changed my life. And I want everyone to be able to have that experience.
That's amazing. And I feel like you're already doing that. And just staying on, well, two things. Number one, because we mentioned Sarah. Sarah, when it comes to making rope dart choreography, synchronizing, is a phenom. So it's like I would love if you and Adam and Mish and Sam and all these dartists out there that are pushing synchronized choreography. Dude, Sarah's a beast with that stuff. So she's choreographed the rope dart in our conclave for pretty much every year. And even the first time she was our lead, one of the feedback from the fire council was like, I didn't like rope dart up until I watched this. It's like, wow, so that's a testament to my wife for sure.
Well, thanks for letting me know because she's going to be at Dart Arts too.
Yeah,
And we're going to have a lot of free time. So I'm looking forward to that.
absolutely. Now, not only are you teaching at Dart Arts, and it sounds like you're going to have a really great class on choreography and synchronizing dart movements. I would be correct in stating that, right?
Yep.
Okay. Now you also teach. I think it was a 5-week course at the Flow Space, and you also, I'm sure, teach at Dolores Park on the weekends and everything. Let's just transition a little bit into the teaching side of things because you're a pretty active teacher and you're very good at it. So I would like for our audience or our viewers, our listeners, to get a little bit of the golden nuggets that you probably have inside your head when it comes to teaching. And I just want to start with how you approach a beginner. So here's a beginner. They know nothing. They were spinning staff and they saw a rope dart. They fell in love. It looks so powerful. How do they come up to you hey, Errol, I want to learn rope dart. This is for listeners out there that need to know where to start. Where do you start? Because let me tell you something. If you look at rope dartists up and down, listen, all over the world, but especially the San Francisco Bay Area, all the way down in San Diego, you see Errol. I mean, his influence is there. So clearly, students are learning. So, what is your approach for that beginner?
So the biggest thing that I've learned in my experience, and when I was learning poi, I did not have a solid foundational structure for what I was learning. I was learning independent moves, completely isolated from each other, with no idea of a common thread going through them, and no kind of concept of like these are foundational skills that basically scale up as you get more into a more advanced content. Um, as I was basically studying to be a Rope Dart Academy instructor, I learned the approach that you have created with the rope dart breakdown from your 101 class all the way to I think you have like a 115 or a 116. You have like a pretty
Correct.
extensive and very elaborate and very well structured approach. And that approach has worked for me every single time, starting with how do I do a figure eight? How do I understand going from my wheel plane to my wall plane? How do I understand my footwork and stance? And then the concept of the little connections where you're actively bringing the rope dart to different parts of your body. Every little bit of thing that I've learned from you about the language you use, the consistency of language, lead and anchor side, uh, that is where I start every single person off because I want them, even if they don't continue to learn from me, I want them to be tapped into the greater structure of how rope dart is communicated, that they can actually start to look at things and start to understand what they're seeing from a greater framework. But it all starts with doing a figure eight from side to side. And no matter what prop you come from, like I came from a poi spinning background, and I will say that having experience spinning poi with both hands gave me a huge level up in understanding how a rope dart moves through space. Any prop that you spin will give you a better framework to understand rope dart. The thing that really pushed me to learn rope dart more quickly was to forget everything about poi that I learned because I was trying to apply poi concepts to rope dart. And that's like doing a four pedal anti-spin flower with a rope dart. It's like, yeah, you can do that, but I wouldn't call that a rope dart move.
Right.
Rope dart to me is more about the relationship with the leash than it is about the relationship from your hand to the head of the object, which is what I think most
Ah,
other props show. And so I had to unlearn the hand to head relationship that was structured around how I learned poi and basically learn how to manipulate the leash. And that became how I started to break the box of my previous understanding of object manipulation to really dive into rope dart. So if you come from a background of spinning a different prop, the first thing is take the fundamentals of how that object moves through space. You can apply that to rope dart. Any of the specialized tech that is specific to that prop, that's only going to hold you back. Like you need to really accept rope dart for what it is to really be able to grow as a rope dart artist. And usually that means unlearning a lot of the things that you've learned about how you treat other props and your relationship to other props. And so once I decided, or once I realized that like I couldn't think of rope dart as poi, my ability to learn rope dart and my love for rope dart really, really started to grow.
that was an amazing answer. And I never even thought of that, where it's like I didn't think of it as a relationship between my hand and the dart head. It's the relationship between my body and the leash. And yours, I never thought of that. And you are, it's immediately apparent that that's true. So not only did everybody listening just learn a little something, so did I. And that's why we do this show. So thank you. We're going to stay on teaching for a little bit longer because you'll be teaching at what I personally consider to be the most prestigious fire festival in all of America, and that would be Fire Drums, which, if you've never gone, go. And if you have gone, I hope to see you there again. So you will be teaching at Fire Drums, although I'm not sure if they announced what you'll be teaching. So you might not be able to, because I think they decide what you teach. And I don't know if they told you what that is yet. Can you give us potentially what it could be, or?
So I applied to teach three workshops there. One of them was Rope Dart 101. And hearing that you will be at Fire Drums, I'm assuming that you will be teaching that 101 class. The I mean, just knowing you and knowing your, your legacy as a rope dart instructor, you are the best person to teach a rope dart 101 class, in my opinion.
Tell that to the
And
Fire Drums people. Tell them. They
I
don't know.
will.
Tell them. Tell them. Tell them. Tell them. I'm
I
serious. Tell
will.
them. Because I
Um,
talked to somebody the other day. They think they have the best beginner curriculum. Like, you're out of your mind. But go ahead.
no, I will tell them.
Yeah.
And the other classes I applied to teach were two like move sets that I'm honestly they're my favorite move sets of the rope dart categories. The Dragon Wrap and the Dark Dragon Wrap. So I basically test drove these workshops at Dart Arts last year. They were very successful. I learned quite a few things about how to improve them from that experience, and I have a much more refined and specialized approach to teaching basically dragon and dark dragon variations, and I'm super excited to share that with people.
For sure. And I just want to make sure that this doesn't fall off the shelf without anybody catching that. To our listeners, our viewers, did you hear that Errol, he said he taught this class and he realized he did some things wrong. He didn't abandon the class and say, forget it, I can't do it. He refined it. He's going to try it again. And if you ever listen, I love stand-up comedy. And if you ever listen to comedians, when they get a Netflix special, that's not the first time they did it. They'll all tell you, I was in bars and clubs and I was testing material and the stuff didn't work. I got rid of it. The stuff that did work, I kept. So all of a sudden now they have an hour-long Netflix special and everything hits because they refined what they did. Guys, I'm still refining classes. My 101 class, I actually took some things out. I used to teach the 360 thigh spin and then the 180 thigh spin. I was like, why am I teaching this 360? It's like, it's kind of a waste. Nobody really does it. And it's easier for them to understand how to do a 360 if they get the 180 first and not the other way around. So and also we evolve as people. The rope dart is evolving as a thing. And it's kind of hitting that 100th monkey syndrome where there's just stuff in the ether. There's knowledge in the ether where you don't have to hammer away at some things because it's almost becoming, it's like basic stuff. It's like you don't have to teach somebody how to, pedal on a skateboard. And, you kind of seen it enough times. If you just get on a skateboard for the first time, you gotta put one foot on, the other foot's on the ground, you pump it a little bit and you start going. You don't have to break that down anymore for some folks. And I love seeing that growth. And again, that growth is coming from artists like you that are making it more in just the universal consciousness. It's more of a household name now than it ever was, for sure. So,
I
and I would,
completely agree.
yeah, and yeah, so the those deep dive classes did at Dart Arts were a huge success, even if you had to refine them, because believe me, after everybody's classes at Dart Arts, I talk to the students and I say, "So how was it?" And I just got nothing but two thumbs up positive feedback from the Dragon and Dark Dragon deep dive, and I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and I mean that's one thing that I actually love about teaching is that similar to learning a new skill, teaching is always about how you make adjustments based on the feedback that you're getting. And one of the things that I've learned from you and from watching other instructors is that providing the information in a concise way is part of what makes a good teacher. What makes a great teacher is being able to give the one piece of feedback that's going to make the biggest difference.
Yes.
And being able to recognize what that is very difficult. But once you have an idea of, once you're comfortable enough with what you're doing and familiar enough with the pitfalls that you've seen from other students and you've had with yourself, being able to identify that one piece of feedback that will make the biggest difference gets a lot easier. And that's what I feel like I learn every time I teach is finding more ways to use less words to communicate the same idea and be way more proactive about identifying the feedback moments and giving them when they're most appropriate to make the biggest difference. And it's like rope darting blindfolded. You kind of have to feel it out.
Hmm.
And it, every student is different. And that's what makes it exciting to me, is that
I
it's never
honestly,
going to be the same thing twice. Yeah.
sure. I honestly hope everybody listening has a pad and pen out and is taking notes right now with everything Errol was saying. I really do. Moving away from teaching into performing, because there's quite a few, you really, you're firmly planted in that world. Now, for Dart Arts, you're also the organizer for the gala, which are all the performances that we do. Are you performing in the gala as well, or is it just too much? You can't perform in it and run it. That's just crazy.
So last year was the first year we had the gala show. I was very happy to have the opportunity to organize it. And I was recovering from a wrist injury going into Dart Arts last year. And I really wanted to perform because it's because of who was there. Like the rope dart community is something that has meant a lot to me. And I feel like performing for that community is something that feels very special. And because of this injury, I had to relegate myself to being more of a backstage manager. That said, seeing the performances that people brought to Dart Arts last year, I was incredibly inspired. And this year, I will also be organizing the gala show again. We've had some great submissions for acts, which I'm very excited about, more than last year, which means we're doing something good. And physically, I'm in a much better place. So I am planning on putting an act together for the gala show.
Okay, that's great. And just I like when you see someone that leads something also do it. So, it's not that it's a big deal. And sometimes, when you're organizing things, it's like, look, you can either be serving the food or you can be cooking the food, but it's kind of hard to do both. But here you are doing both. So, that's going to be, I'm sure, going to be a showstopper for everyone watching you. You've also performed in the flow shows. For anyone that's not familiar, the flow show it's almost like a traveling show. Not that the performers travel, but the idea travels. I was in the New York City Flow Show years ago when they did it, and I think they have them in other parts of America as well. And I don't want to misspeak because I'm not exactly sure where the Flow Show pops up, but it definitely pops up in the San Francisco Bay Area where you've not only performed, but now you've kind of transitioned to a coach for performers. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, the Flow Show is one of the first places I ever saw the flow arts represented as something to be stage worthy. It is a show that is dedicated just to flow arts acts, and they have to be fully choreographed, and it is a stage performance. So it is elevating the art form that most people will see at like a park or in a backyard or something onto something that can be shown on a stage. And I had performed in the show 5 times over a variety of different years, different props, rope dart, sear wheel, partner poi, and poi. And last, leading into this year, I was unsure if the flow show would be a thing. Basically, there was a little bit of a change in the organizational structure. And luckily, Amy Wylishka, who was the director of the show, was like, I am willing to direct the show. And I was like, I think the flow show needs to exist. Like the flow arts needs to have a platform to be able to be shown in a what I consider to be like a respectable, presentable way.
Mhm.
Um, and I told her, I was like, I don't want to be the one calling the shots, but I will do whatever you need help with to make this happen. And it just so happened that we had kind of had this idea for a coaching program. And originally, Amy was going to be taking lead on it. Pretty quickly into organizing the show, she's like, I got too much on my plate. Would you be interested in taking this over? And I was like, yeah, I would love to do that. And so it basically, like, the Flow Show does include a lot of people who have never performed before. And so having someone with a good amount of experience, who's also pretty well connected with other members of the community who made up our coaching team, it was a really fun and fulfilling experience to kind of help shepherd in what I consider to be like the next generation of people who are going to be pushing the art form. Um, and just being in a place of offering support to the artists is something that I just feel needs like everyone needs help at some point in time, whether they admit it or not. And I think just being able to be there with an open hand and willingness to help, even if people decide to go their own way, I think there's a lot of power in being present to help. And we helped a lot of people get their acts to a place that honestly, I'm not sure how far they could have gotten without some guidance. It definitely pushed the acts into a higher level. And seeing the show, I was incredibly impressed at what people were able to create. Um, I got a lot of really good feedback from the other coaches and people who worked with specific coaches to help refine their acts. And seeing all of that inspired me to want to do an act again because I'm just like, man, people can make really awesome things if they have the time, the motivation, and the dedication, and the little bit of guidance you need because everyone can be their own biggest critic. And sometimes it
Mhm.
helps to have an external pair of eyes giving you some feedback. And so the coaching program was a success. We're hoping to carry it into next year. And it just kind of comes back to the whole uh, kind of thing about teaching and about finding ways to show up for the community that I've gotten so much from. Uh, and I want to just keep giving back in whatever way that I can.
For sure. Yeah, that support for the up and comers is so important. And you brought something up, or while you're just speaking, it when you look at the rope dart community, I would say that there's almost, and if there is, I'm not aware of it, but there's like no gatekeeping. It's like the Erols of the world, the Rudolphs of the world, the Aaron Stangers of the world, the Ben Kennedys, all these guys, Charlie, all these people, they just openly share everything. We all try to bolster each other up. As we say, a rising tide raises all ships. And we really have a strong community. So I am firmly in the rope dart community. I don't know, I don't care about any other thing. If anybody listening or knows me knows that to be true. I don't know what the gatekeeping is like in other props, but every now and again, I know there's like some firestorm happening in Poi chat over something like this. And right, that's the name of that group, I think. But
Yeah.
I really like, and I think what makes, and I'm just speculating here, I don't know. I think because, like I said earlier, it's kind of this shared mentality. And I think that kind of crosses over into this total lack of gatekeeping because we're all here for each other. We're all doing great things. And lighting somebody's flame doesn't take away from yours. It actually just makes the both of you burn brighter. And that's something the rope dart community just seems to know intuitively, right? I mean,
I feel that, yeah. And I mean, in my experience working with other dartists, like it's always an exchange,
always.
like everything goes both ways, it's like I talk rope dart, I learn things in the process of sharing what I know. Either I learn things about how to teach better, I learn things about variations I never thought of, I learn things just by accident, but the fact that it just seems so accepting, I guess is probably the word.
Super.
Uh, really just makes it easier for people to feel comfortable sharing. There isn't this idea of hoarding
No.
moves, trying to keep tricks for themselves. Like, if anything, more of what I see is people who have something that's new and novel, they want to see other people doing it. Like the
Yeah.
solar flare takeover of the rope dart Instagram hashtag was a great example of that. Something I'd never seen before, something a lot of other dartists had never seen before. Aaron created this move, made a tutorial for it, and then for weeks and still ongoing, I see people using this move in new and interesting ways. It's hard to have it's hard to have an attachment around something that is so that gives so much pleasure and satisfaction to other people. Like it's the idea of like compersion, being happy for other people's happiness,
Yeah.
uh, is what I think is one of like the core values I see in the rope dart community is people just love seeing people succeed.
Yeah, because everybody gets their day, and it's not just one day. It's like, look, somebody one day is gonna, say on a Monday they're gonna post this video that's just amazing. They're going to be celebrated, and look, 2 days later, somebody else is gonna post a video that's gonna, oh my God, it's gonna be celebrated, and we just seem to celebrate and support, and I think that's why our growth has such a vertical trajectory. I mean, it's just like straight up every single, being, having Rope Dart Academy and kind of just, I hear it all from everybody. I like the Rope Dart world community drama for whatever reason always finds its way to my inbox. And great things too. Don't misunderstand. It's more good. It's always more good. But just for me to see it over a 20-year span, it's like, wow, we really just keep getting more and more folks into rope dart and are sticking around because they're really finding so much value in it. So it's look, I don't know when the good Lord's going to take me home, but I'm going to go with a big smile on my face, knowing that all of this is out here. It's not in the distant future or the near future. It's actually happening right now, and we're living it. And if there was ever a time to be alive with the rope dart, man, this is it because it's only getting better. Moving
It's
away,
the best.
right?
It's
For
the
sure.
best.
Moving away from rope dart slightly, because you do engage in something that some might call it a flow art, some might call it something else. I'm not big on, whatever you want to label it is fine. But the sear wheel is something that you're awesome at. And I watch your sear wheel videos because they're entertaining. And I look at it and I'm like, is there a crossover between sear wheel and rope dart? And I'm like, yeah, there is. And this is where and you're the expert here, so you can tell me that I'm totally full of it, or you could maybe extrapolate on what I'm saying. I've never done sear wheel before. However, I have two eyes and a brain, and it looks like there's a lot of pushing and pulling happening. You have to keep your trunk relatively stable. It's a pull this way, a push that way. And the rope dart is pushing, pulling in circles. That's what it is. So, do you feel you know, like a bridge between the two, or am I just totally off my rocker right now?
I think you're definitely onto something there. And a lot of it comes with the relationship between the body and the object. And I think there is a lot of overlap there. Um, I think you described this to me when we were talking about the difference between like staff spinning and rope dart. And it's like, okay, if you spin a staff, you have to be the fluid object because the stick is rigid. When you spin a rope dart, you have to be the rigid object because the rope is fluid. And steer wheel kind of falls into that. You have to be the fluid object because it is rigid, but there's so much flexibility in that relationship that it is very much. I've learned more about my own body from doing steer wheel and rope dart than any other props. Like the amount of proprioception and body awareness that is needed for both rope dart and steer wheel, I don't know. I haven't experienced anything that takes me to that level of like dropping in. Of the things that I spin, if I'm having a rough day and I try to pick up a rope dart or do sear wheel, it is significantly harder. I need to fall out of my head and into my body to really be able to perform at at a comfortable level. And I can tell immediately if I'm not in the right headspace when I pick up my prop, it's not going to go well. And so that is one thing that both rope dart and sear wheel are probably the two most grounding activities for me because it really forces me to not be in my head. And in that sense, they are very, very similar. And things that I'm probably the most passionate about in my life. They're both incredible workouts. They both challenge my mind, and I've hurt myself doing both.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, I was having a conversation with our mutual friend Rudolph a few weeks ago, and he blew my mind with this when it came to practice. And I'm bringing this up because you kind of touched upon it, where being in the right headspace. So what Rudolph said was, look, you need to know what's your intention behind practicing. Are you just flowing out? Are you drilling a technique? Are you getting ready for a performance? Because these three different, and there's others as well, but just sticking with these three, there's intention behind that. If you're in a I just want to flow mood and you go out and drill a technique, you might be like, oh man, like I really just want to feel me and my rope dart right now. I don't need to learn the solar flare right now because we all got to learn the solar flare. But and it's knowing how you're feeling. Look, I got to do that. Like something, I check my heart. Frank, I'm about to go out to rope dart. I watch like your video and I get so inspired. And then I go outside and I realize, wow, Errol is just a lot better than I am. And I can't do a lot of this stuff. But I came out here to feel good. So I'm just going to flow with it. I'm not going to try to match drill this thing that I saw Errol do because I'm just not there right now. I just want to, maybe it's been a week, it's been busy at Dart House. I haven't really felt that connection with my rope dart. I just want to connect with my rope dart. And since talking to Rudolph, that's all I do now when I practice is I have an intention first and I just go with that intention. And because we're all human, sometimes that intention can change. And it's about being fluid and just saying, oh, you know what? I came out here to drill and I feel cool about drilling, but man, I got a tournament that's coming up. I should probably run through my routine a few times, or I'm going to be performing at Dart Arts. Maybe I should go through my act a few times. Staying fluid with the fluid tool is probably one of the best ways to approach all of the practice that you can do, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And Rudolph and I have very similar thoughts about this, and we have talked about it. And my approach to practice is very similar. The intention is where everything starts. And for me, I break my practice into pretty much two categories. One is music and getting in the zone. The other is I'm going to take a concept and I'm just going to drill the hell out of it and see what comes out. And that's where all of the new things that I've discovered come is just like, I'm going to take a sunrise and I'm going to spend half an hour just doing sunrise and seeing what comes out of a sunrise, and if, for all of the listeners out there, if you've never taken a practice session and just taken one concept and just drove it into the ground as far as you can go, I highly recommend that. That's where all of the weird, unexpected, unanticipated creativity can really come from, is when you take something you're comfortable with and then just see where it leads you. And I really like having a framing for practice to be one of those two things. Either I'm really focused on developing skill or I'm focused on letting go.
Yeah, I mean, guys, again, I hope you're taking notes if you're listening and watching this. Before we go, I have two very important questions I want to ask you, just because we're coming up on about 45 minutes. What message and I'm not going to say offend you because I know you do. What message do you have for the rope dart community? What's a golden nugget of information that you could just drop on rope dartists right now that's easy and digestible for them to understand to make them the best rope dartists they can be?
The thing that's made the biggest difference for me with regards to every single skill I've tried to learn is consistency. Um, it doesn't necessarily matter how much time you spend on something per day, but if you do it every day, that's what makes the difference. Uh, when I was getting really into rope dart, when I had my first elbow shot and I realized how good that felt, I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to spend 15 minutes a day just doing rope dart. And that makes all the difference. It's not about spending 3 hours and getting really frustrated. It's about constantly chipping away and constantly keeping your practice moving. Momentum is very important, in my opinion. And the second you take too long of a break, it gets harder to drop back in. Easiest way to avoid that is to just put time aside every single day, even if it's 5 minutes, just to maintain the connection between you and the skill that you're trying to learn. And for me, I'm a collector, and it is one of the reasons why I love rope dart in particular is because rope darts themselves are collectible items, which is very dangerous for me. And the skills of rope dart are also collectible items. And for me, my biggest motivation has always just like I grew up collecting comic books, and that's how I look at rope dart. I just want as many things as I can get my hands on. Like I want to learn it all. Even if I don't use it in a performance or in my flow, just the fact of learning something new inspires me. And that's one of the biggest things I love about our community is there's so much more than I could ever learn that's constantly being created. And so if you're willing to just put your foot in the water and keep your eyes open, you're bound to find something that you're like, I want to try that. And then it comes down to that 15 minutes a day, chipping away. And that's where it all starts, you know? And the more you do it, the easier it gets, the more you fall in love with it. And then you end up being a Rope Dart Academy instructor. That's how it goes.
Well, hey, we want more of those. So, but you have to be, Erol level instructor or Rudolph level like that because, I take it seriously. And somebody I've heard people say, "Oh, don't take things so seriously." It's like I don't take myself seriously, but I take the rope dart very seriously. So, I do take that seriously, and that's okay. I can be that guy, and I'm fine with that. My last question for you, I don't even know how this hour flew by. It was amazing. My last question for you is the last question I ask everyone, which is if you had the opportunity to rope dart with anybody on the planet, living, not living, whatever it is, anywhere for 3 days over a weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, who would that rope dartist be and why?
So I've thought a lot about this. And being based in the United States, I gotta say, the people I would love to share space with and share skills with the most are the people who live outside the country. If I had 3 days, I would spend one day with
No,
Olivia
only no, no,
Benner.
no, only one person.
Oh my God.
Only one. That's what makes it difficult.
Oh
I'm not
man.
going to. I had a guest on here. She named two, and because of who she was, I let it slide. But you can only name
Okay.
one.
Oh man, that's a tough one. I would say I think the as a collector of skills, Red Rope Charlie
Hell yeah.
tickles my brain in a way that I don't quite get from any other roped artist. Uh, I would love to just meet her in person and hear about her perspective because I see some of the things she can do and I'm like, how in the world did she even come up with this? I want to hit target gongs with her. And like I love her little like practice space. Like, yeah, just her whole vibe, very playful, very creative, very complex and interesting. and everything ends with like a smile,
Yeah.
like I'm just like, I got to meet this person. Um, and so if I had a chance, I would love to get out of the US rope dart scene and meet I think she's in like Belgium. She's
Austria.
somewhere in Europe.
Austria.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
Austria. Yeah. I would love that. Like I feel like even if we didn't speak English, we would probably be able to trade a lot of skills. We speak
Oh,
the language of rope dart, like even if
she speaks like every language under the sun.
okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Oh man. So I guess yeah, she would have to be my top. I want to spend a weekend rope darting with this person.
Heck yeah. And I'm just gonna touch on that just because I agree. There's something about, so just so Charlie, Willcat, and Juiced all talk with each other, and they all have kind of like this almost unorthodox style of rope dart, which I think you're talking about, which for me I find intriguing as well. And you just see this like triangle of knowledge that goes around. They're all influencing each other, and that gets pushed out and influences like the rest of us, and each of them by themselves is an absolute, mind blowing amazing. But I would say the three of them have a very, and I'm saying unorthodox as a compliment, because they could do all the things. Even Will Cap posted something yesterday. He did a smash shot, turned under it into a non-stall overlord. I was like, oh my god, I love this guy. But they just have this very wide open brain and this unorthodox style of doing things that is truly captivating. And yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to train with Red Rope Charlie, right?
Totally. I mean, just some of the stuff, and I know what you mean about that, like triangle of incredibly complicated tech that Juiced and Will and Charlie are kind of like pushing each other forward on.
Mhm.
I can barely keep up with half of it when I see it on a video, but I know that it's something that it makes me want to learn more. And that is something that I feel like, especially as you get more, and I don't want this to sound like arrogant or vain, but once you start getting so experienced at an object manipulation, it gets harder and harder to find things that to like inspire you.
Yes.
Um, and every time I watch one of Red Rope Charlie's videos, I'm like, all right, it's time to get to work,
Right.
like there's something about it. I'm just like, all right, like I'm here for this, and I really value feeling inspired. And it can be hard to come by the more you do something. It's easy to get jaded. There's so many reasons to like burn out of an activity. And I think a lot of it comes from a lack of inspiration. And I'm very grateful that our community is constantly inspiring me to keep doing more.
Heck yeah, man. Well, this was an absolute pleasure, or it was an absolute pleasure to speak with you. You are a rope dart stud, if there ever was one. Again, I said in the beginning, I'll say it again. You are legit my favorite rope dartist on the planet, bar none. Uh, I aspire to rope dart just like you, and your knowledge on teaching and performing. Guys, look, if you're a rope artist, study what Errol's doing, follow his pages, just watch. You will elevate your understanding of teaching, performing, tech. Your own personal expression gets elevated every single time. Look, for me, every time I watch one of his videos, I'm like, oh my God, somebody give me a rope dart. I got to go now. Um, Thank you so much for taking this time. And I'm so looking forward to seeing you at Fire Drums, because we're going to have a great time
Yeah.
together. And just keep doing what you're doing, because, again, there's just some rope artists out there that are just so good for the art. And you're one of them, period.
Thank you, Frank. That means so much to me. And again, it all started with you putting a rope dart in my hands and telling me to use it. That started all of this, and I cannot thank you. And I've expressed a lot of gratitude to you and Sarah, and you both are probably two of the biggest influences in my life as to like what I want to be able to contribute to a community that I've really fallen in love with. So thank you so much for enabling me.
Well, thank you for doing it, and you've far exceeded anything Sarah and I have shown you. So thank you. Well, for everyone, I hope you got a lot out of this. I certainly did. I'm looking forward. We got to talk again, Errol, 100%, because this is just too good. For
I'm
everyone
doing it.
else, what's that?
I said I'm 100% in.
Oh, yeah. No, we got to do this again. I didn't even get to everything I wanted to talk to you about. For everyone else, much love as always. Keep spreading your art, keep spreading your love. There's resources out there like Errol, total stud. And if you have questions, there are guys out there that have answers. Until next time, peace, love, dot life.
Woo!